Okay, so this was a viewer submission where they gave me a loose shell with the main request being they wanted us to try and leverage Kami of Mourning to generate value here. So when this enters the battlefield, target creature you control or in your graveyard gains perpetually. Whenever a creature you control with greater mana value dies, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So the basic idea is we could put this on some of our cheaper cards and bring them back to the battlefield over and over and over again. And then we've got things like Deadly Dispute, Stitched Assistant, Demon Disciple, and even our own Meathook Massacres to kill our own things to generate lots of value. The question on hand is going to be, of course, is the value we're generating from something like Kami and these other cards better than simply playing the raw kind of 2 and 3 for ones that the draw to Undercity Plunder Invoke Despair deck is doing in the red-black? So let's go ahead and pop on into some matches with this and see how it feels. Gonna play some Alchemy for a little bit to start here, and then and we'll swap over to some standard after. Undercity Plunder, I think, is the sweetest design out of the most recent Alchemy drop. Punisher cards are neat and playable. Punisher cards are excellent. I think there's definitely merit to cutting. There's definitely merit to cutting the blue splash out of this deck, but the person that submitted it had a blue splash, so usually I don't like to make changes as large as cutting a color from a deck that someone has sent in without playing matches. I think there's lots of decks you could lose with in Historic right now. Dead Gael is among them. Well, it's worth noting too, when I have people submit decks, if I plan to make changes for them, Caldarian, in addition to trying to not change colors, I also ask, like, what's the kind of core idea or thing you're trying to make work with this concept? And like, in this instance, the person who submitted this asked specifically that Kami be the card that they're trying to make work. So this was, I consider a lot of these more build-around submissions, more so than, they're more build-around concepts, more so than strict lists to start with, unless someone's adamant they like their list to start with. Zatutu, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning. Oh, right. This costs... I was kind of expecting to Hagra Mauling this after the fact, but then, because it was showing 3, so in my head that was 3. honestly, this is one of the things where, like, I'm not 100% sure on in terms of how we're even supposed to be using Kami. Like, am I supposed to use Kami on something like this that I'm gonna get value with getting back right away, or is just like what this card does just not good enough and I should just put it on higher quality creatures from the start? Our opponent has decided that the game is over. Guess their hand was probably just bad, huh? I want these Undercity Plunders and probably Disdainful Stroke here. Our deck's clearly cracked, chat. We broke it. I think Demon Disciple's actually not very good. I don't seem to have a lot of super important creatures. Trim these Meathooks, I think. Maybe a Shambling Ghast. That's rude. Remember, chat, we exist under capitalism, so you are in fact allowed to exploit yourself should you choose. The part where they Citystalker Connoisseur us and leave us with nothing? I've just invoked Despair. Deal. Okay, Hagra Mauling to clean out the Kiki. Oh no! Oh no! Yikes! Yikes! I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. Alright, I probably need Meathooks to keep up with their Kikis, actually. Yeah, Ovar's become a pretty common sideboard card. There's a chance we should have them for opposing Citystalkers. Actually, let's just bottom the Cursebound Witch here. They have a pretty good 2, 3, 4 curve. Little 2-mana Mind Rot action. Okay, so this counts itself. So whenever a 4 or 5 dies, this brings itself back. I wonder how many I'm gonna be curious to see after we play, you know, 2, 3, 4 matches, how many times we actually trigger the text on this to bring something back meaningfully. Okay, I have to bottom these, unfortunately. We just need lands, right? Morning, Lucos. I'm gonna actually keep the Midnight Sky this time around, because this can bring some friends back from the bin. With the second Meathook rolled up, we'll play this out proactively. Putting Meathook into play also makes their Invoke Despairs a bit worse. It's an enchantment hanging out to sacrifice. It does not surprise me in the slightest that there are a bunch of Magic personalities that are deep into blockchain stuff. Always been kind of big grifter energy from a number of those folks. We're just gonna be locked out at this point with these two. And that match kind of highlighted what I was talking about, right? In the intro, where we had cards that like kind of generate value, but they need to have synergy to work together. And our opponents were just like individually good cards that like shoved us in a box. Yeah, I promptly blocked that one, Lucos, after I responded to them for posterity's sake. Yeah, they're draw twos or discard twos. It feels like you need a really good reason to not just be doing what the kind of established red-black deck is doing if you're going to be in the mid-range value space, and I'm not sure that the Kami necessarily qualifies as that. Honestly, I think I keep both of these. I'm kind of in for a land and Deadly Dispute. We'll have a blood token off the Citystalker Connoisseur. Grifter's like snake oil salesman. There's someone trying to scam people. For people that don't keep up on the news, a video game company that makes the game Storybook Brawl, which is very popular among Magic content creators because it was made by a bunch of people in the Magic community. That company was originally started, was sold to a cryptocurrency company this week. So there are folks like LSV who like to lean into grifting people with cryptocurrency. They're talking about how actually this is a good thing. I think he's actually involved with the company too, right? He has some kind of stake in it, if I recall correctly, or at the very least works for them. I need to touch a land here. I Deadly Dispute to draw back up. What's the problem with crypto? The best way I can describe cryptocurrency is as follows. Cryptocurrency is a solution looking for a problem. Cryptocurrency, and especially NFTs inside of games, don't meaningfully solve any issues that exist in the industry. The idea that you own something and have proof of ownership is worthless because that asset is tied to a game. The only idea of that proof of ownership being worth something is if other video games and platforms take the time to integrate something from another game into their platform. And why the fuck would anybody take the time to do that, right? Like, why would I make my game support something from some other's competitor's game so they can bring it on in, and vice versa, take things from my game and go back to the other competitors? That's not something practical that's actually useful that anybody's gonna ever implement. We're gonna do this. Who are we Kami of Mourning at this point? I think it's the Stitched Assistant. Yeah, it just doesn't have any actual uses. And for people like, you've probably heard articles about people making money in NFTs, and I talk about people grifting with it because a lot of the people that have legitimately made money in NFTs, the way they do that is because cryptocurrency wallets, you can make lots of them. A lot of people buy and sell NFTs, which are basically JPEGs on blockchain, to themselves, making it look like there's artificial value and people want this. And then they find a sucker who has too much money and not enough sense to actually buy it after they've inflated the value of it, buying and selling it with themselves. Yeah, it's a very, very classic pump and dump, is accurate. Okay, so this is untapped, actually, right? What if I just Meathook Massacre here? We're just gonna do that, because then this will come back and we'll get to exploit it. Wait, what? Oh my god, this text doesn't even trigger if things die simultaneously? Oh no. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's... Oof. Oof. I was expecting that to trigger when these all died simultaneously. And I guess it makes sense that they does it, because this is text that triggers from your graveyard, but... Woof. Alright, so we're gonna Deadly Dispute our Dargon. Put Citystalker Connoisseur into play. I keep one of these, right? We'll target Kami, and then Kami will come back when this dies. Even so, Veed, I think one of my favorite comments about the generic cryptocurrency community is cryptocurrency is kind of like a speed run in people learning why we got all of the banking regulations we have today. Like watching people slowly get screwed or grifted or social engineered out of anything because there aren't any safety precautions in there to protect people is just like really sad. Yeah, it's really neat on a conceptual, I agree with that. It's neat on a conceptual level. Okay. Assemble from parts might let us pop off here a little bit. We're kinda doing stuff. Yeah, we get to assemble from parts, and then the dragon comes back. And the dragon comes back, and then we have Kami on a few different things. That was kind of neat. Was legitimately sweet and value oriented. Hey, thanks for whoever checked out the Dark Nemesis promo. To claim your free gift sub, please DM me a screenshot of your character at level 10, either on Twitch or Twitter, and I'll get you the gift sub sorted out after I'm done streaming today. Appreciate the support. If you're someone that enjoys my content, you want an easy way to support it with a little bit of your time, takes less than 20 minutes, check out the Dark Nemesis promo we have going this week to get a free sub. So I think I want all my meat hooks here. We need to kill their, we need to be able to kill their venture creatures. This is probably an okay Ray of Enfeeblement matchup, huh? They tend to have miscellaneous 1/1s laying around, so Disciple's probably not particularly good. Hey, thanks for the entire year of support, Chulk. I appreciate that. Oh, I forgot to switch my overlay back on this scene. I think with their 2/1, I'd rather trim a Cursebound Witch than my Shambling Ghast. Through the end of the week, Cody. So through Friday. Or until Saturday, technically. I have no idea what an Advanced Wars is, so no. It's also going to be pretty rare that I stream a new game exactly when it comes out. They gave me an arbitrarily large number of people to get bonuses for, BZ. So one of the things that's actually interesting about this campaign, I actually get a little bit of a bonus per conversion, not just in big lumps. So every person that does it helps give me a little bit, which is why I'm gifting subs for everybody that does it. You assemble in the opener? Probably not. Yeah, I'm not big on doing tactics games on stream. Excuse me? I mean, I guess that's a legal play. Yeah, generally speaking, I get my fill of turn-based stuff from card games. So when I'm playing other video games, I like to do other stuff. Well, that's rude. I wanted cards in my graveyard for my Kami. I mean, it can't possibly be any worse than card games, Lucas. As I've expanded my range in the types of games that I stream, I must say that gamers who backseat card gamers are actually the exclusively worst backseat gamers on Twitch. Like of all the types of games, card gamers are the most aggressive backseaters. Like here, right? Like this is, so we kind of popped off in the first game of this set, and this is kind of feeling like it's highlighting the issue, like with playing the Kamis, right? Like I can kind of, sure, I can put these into play, but I'm not really doing anything meaningful with them, right? They're like, they could kind of have the potential to be 2-for-1s to generate value later, but they're not doing anything in the immediate sense.
My words are for ambitious minds.
Yeah, and our opponent just like has a piece of graveyard hate here. They like had Go Blank as well, so like now my cards that were potentially going to be 2-for-1s just like actually generate no value.
My will cannot be denied.
And I'm packing in for this game. I'll try game 3 on the play. Our graveyard hate felt especially brutal here, though. We did trim assemble from parts. Honestly, probably just bring in the plunders and try and lean on the graveyard a little bit less. Do I still play any Runeterra? No, I fell off of that one pretty hard. Their lack of best of 3 means even when I come in and like play a little bit of Runeterra and enjoy it, their lack of best of 3 just keeps me from getting engaged. And even when their gauntlets are up, their pick ban format I think is less fun than just sideboarding. And that's super subjective. I know a lot of people like their pick ban, but I like being able to just focus on a particular deck at a time. Being good at Runeterra's pick ban format doesn't feel nearly as satisfying to me as being good at sideboarding, if that makes sense. And honestly, I think we're just supposed to discard Kami here without a graveyard. It just doesn't do anything. How large should they set sideboard slots to Runes here? I think that's kind of a pointless discussion because I don't think they'll ever add sideboard slots. It also kind of feels like, and I'd like to prefix what I'm about to say with, I think what they're doing is actually an incredibly good business decision, but it feels like Riot is moving away from / giving up on the PvP aspect of Runeterra a little bit, which is the aspect that I enjoy. They talked about how they have twice as many people playing their single player Path of Champions modes, and they're scaling back how frequently they're going to be doing balance patches, and they're removing coverage of their seasonal tournaments. I think they're smart to lean into the PvE aspect of their game, but it's just not the part of the game that I like. Yeah, I'd assume that Runeterra has probably been a lost leader up until this point, so just like bring people into their IP / the League universe. This is why people are playing Ovar in their sideboards. Maybe we should just jam some of those in there. And there's not really anything to say about the $50 wildcard bundle. What do you want to hear? If I discard this, we could draw a removal spell in response. Or we could draw that. I guess I had commented on something about it on Twitter where if Wizards is going to be smart, which this is, you know, could be up in the air, that $50 price point is going to be an anchor price, and they're going to somewhat frequently run sales against that price point. So there'll be something in daily deals where for 25 or 30 or 40 bucks or whatever price they're happy fleecing people with, you'll be able to buy that amount of wild cards for a smaller discount for a short time frame. That's very, very, very common. Anyone who's played Raid Shadow Legends is aware of that. You set the base price of something rather high at a point where only large whales will ever buy it at that price, and then you run deals against that price because people are like, oh, well, I'll never pay $50 for this pack, but $25, that's a deal, chat. Nah, I really don't enjoy Magic as a best of one game. Yeah, chat. Don't forget to buy that 40th game on the Steam sale you won't ever actually play because it's 90% off. That's definitely a good use of your money and time. Have they turned the corner? No, not at all. They've stabilized, but they're not killing us particularly quickly. Someone in chat feels personally attacked? Good, you should. That's true. Saying only 40th was me being generous. Congrats on making it to level 20. Here's a gem bundle you can get 70% off if you act in the next 24 hours. Yeah, exactly. Alright, now we play this game of top decks. It was in the YouTube video Mushroom where they talked about investing more resources into PvE. They mentioned adjusting their balance cadence frequency. A random card is better than that. Which again, for the record, I think that's incredibly smart, and the way in which they're intending to reinvest the resources in Runeterra is a good thing for the future of their game. It just pushes it in a direction that I'm less interested in personally. But I'm an adult, so I'm capable of being able to look at a situation and go, yeah, that's not for me, but it's probably good for them overall. Okay, and at this point, we've hit garbage time and have died. Alright, let's give this one more shake. Unlike the pile of Magic the Gathering players who are crybabies, and every time they see anything about alchemy, they throw a temper tantrum. It's funny, I mentioned this earlier, but actually every time I post an alchemy video on YouTube, people unsubscribe from my channel. And it's not like I'm not posting, like I would understand if I was only doing alchemy, like leaving if you're not interested in alchemy, like that's fine, but it's like, I'm still posting standard and historic and brawl stuff occasionally like I always have. It's just like, yeah, people are just so salty about it. You just can't let other people like things. I hate the bands you like. Yep. For what it's worth, chat, I think being frustrated that you feel priced out of alchemy is completely a legitimate and reasonable feeling to have. That's the only legitimate complaint that I will entertain about alchemy is not liking the fact that they added a bunch more rares to the format. I understand and agree with that. All the cards in alchemy being primarily rares and mythics is just pretty typical cash grabby watsy. just taking a 2/3? I think I'm taking a 2/3. No one complaining about Alchemy is complaining about the specific format, really, Lakar. It's obviously fine to dislike specific play patterns. But most of the people complaining aren't really looking at that. Yeah, I agree, Lochdweeb. It honestly just, like, kind of steps. It's a big part of why I've been doing less Magic content. The fact that you just, like, can't get away from it. Like, I don't know. We just, like... And part of it's my fault, too, I guess, right? Like, we end up talking about the shitty economy here every day. It's just, like, such this overwhelming feeling part of it that you just, like, can't escape. It's mine 2/3 for 3, or many like it, but this one is mine. I think that's the one that amuses me the most in the car. People are like, Alchemy ruined Historic with these direct-to-digital cards while being completely ignorant to the fact that we had direct-to-digital cards before Alchemy happened. This might actually be okay. I don't think I want to play the Broom out here because I think there's a good chance they have a sweeper next turn. Alright, and at this point, I'm going to try and do my part to be the positive change I want to see in the world. Let's stop talking about economy stuff and just talk about gameplay and cards. Cast your next instant sorcery spell, copy that. Okay, so they're about to cast a spell a bunch? They don't have enough mana to play. Okay. So they're milling me 24 cards? Hey, that means we got a race, chat. If they do again next turn what they did this turn, they're gonna deck us actually. Maybe I'm supposed to play out the Sorcerer's Broom so they're dead through a piece of spot removal. I don't know that Hideous Laughter gets us on its own. We have 18 cards. We have some vibes in our deck. One mana short of firing up both Hives here. 17 cards in my deck, so 2 mill 8s won't do it. If they have a third one, we're dead. Respect. Respect. Alright, so I think this is a Deadly Disputes out matchup. Definitely Duress in. Definitely Undercity Plunder in. I don't think they have anything big enough for us to stroke, really. Because when you kick this, it's still mana value too. Oh, that's true. We could just board up. We take a donation to play the opponent's deck? Probably not. To attack for 1 here. We get to go Stitched into make a treasure, draw a card. Rest is probably fine here. Oh man, shit. Getting Orvard in this format is so brutal. I feel like this is one of those cards that should be like considered a red flag for a format. Like, this type of effect seeing play probably means things aren't in a particularly healthy spot. Yeah, I haven't seen too many main deck. A lot of sideboards though. I'd be kind of surprised if Citystalker Connoisseur has the same text box a month from now. Tsunami, thank you for the 39 months. Welcome back. Yeah, they could just pull the blood token off this card. That's probably a good place to start. Definitely Citystalker. This is the push discard spell in the format. I believe the technical term would be most pushed. Come on, Maybe I'm supposed to loot with the blood to start. Doesn't appear to matter. I would like to give a special shout out to Grixis for performing its eternal duty of when we're feeling kind of down and out with a viewer submitted deck we're playing, it shows up to put us on the scoreboard. Good gag, Grixis. Grixis always got my back, chat. Keep that actually, because I can play that next turn along with a tapped land, and then we can sack it to a Dispute or a Stitcher's Assistant to draw cards if we're gonna brick. I was thinking I just want to try and power through to lands, but this will all actually let us see more cards towards lands in the long run. Carnage Tyrant was a fine design. Are we salty about Carnage Tyrant? I think Carnage Tyrant was fine. The name on this card hits a little close to home these days. It was very ham-fisted. Nah. Put a sweeper in your deck or be able to block. You had two very good axes of interaction. Whenever control players would complain about cards like Carnage Tyrant, it's like, why don't you just, like, attack and block? Yeah, they even had stuff like Detection Tower in the format. Mood. Control player, what is a creature? Yeah, exactly. Land plus Meathook. Rats. Anybody else feeling a little bit dead? Alright, we got 2 shots at a Meathook. We have 2 of those in our main deck. I actually think Questing Beast was super reasonable as far as Magic cards go. I think a lot of the things you could have considered potentially problematic around Questing Beast were largely centered around the fact that Ember Cleave pushed it over the top a little bit too much. Well, Smith, thank you for the 22 months of Prime. I really appreciate the support. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. So, the Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less was a very explicit design to, was a very explicit design for it to offer counterplay against Field of the Dead. I hate Questing Beast because it beat Fog spells. Alright, you get 10 minutes because you like Fog spells. I actually almost said before that comment that one of the rough parts about Questing Beasts is they didn't print it soon enough because we had to suffer through Fog being playable for a whole bunch of time. If they would have printed Questing Beast sooner, we wouldn't have had to suffer through that. Chat, Fog is not a control deck card. Telling this an anti-control deck stream. Fog is a misery holds you hostage card. Some of you kids out there have never been Moments Pieced, and it shows. Okay, some of us lived through getting Moments Pieced, okay? Ask a Pauper player about Moments Pieced sometime. I was there 3,000 years ago. Yeah, exactly. Look at that. Drew a basic land like a professional. What a skill game. Yeah, Moments Piece, for those that didn't see it in chat, is a 2-mana fog that flashes back for 3. It's super obnoxious. Fog is just the most inefficient draw spell in Magic. Lol. Drop it like it's hot, opponent. You seriously gonna trade your Archon for my 1/1? Deal. Alright, we didn't block, but we also didn't attack. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for him here. There is a white fog. Yeah, holy day. Zoomers these days don't know their Magic the Gathering history. Of course, there's a white fog. This is why I didn't attack with my Hive of the Eye Tyrant, by the way. Because I wanted to be able to sacrifice this. Oh, I can't play a second spell. Sag. Yeah, all the exile effects have made our Kamis feel bad too. Like we played a Kami earlier and she just got exiled.
Strike fast and strike hard.
I'll say there's no way they no blocks here, right? They can Emperor, Exile, Citystalker, gain 2.
See you later.
They'll pushed out. Magic Zoomer versus Magic Boomer chat is not an age or a cutoff, but a state of mind. If alchemy and digital designs existing on Magic Arena makes you irrationally angry, you are a Magic Boomer. Now, I'm like a Magic millennial, Scruff McGruff, and I grew up in the Dark Ages, but I've accepted my digital future. Why be angry about a game? Oh, you must be new to the Magic community. Welcome, Zatutu. Enjoy your stay. You must be new here. Grifters, Gap. They're grifters. It's just a game. Why you have to be mad? I think I'd be into digital if I wasn't streaming. I have been asking for digital-only Magic the Gathering cards and rebalances since before Magic Arena existed. We actually looked this up the other day, Vonu. Apparently, a lot of people accept Gen Z as being through like 2014 or 2015. As far as generational cuts go. Those things don't always have very clear, like, definers. Like, it can vary on who you ask, but there's a number that say Zoomers go through 2015. Hey, big thanks to whoever finished checking out the Dark Nemesis promo. Appreciate the support and you checking out the sponsor. Be sure to DM me a screenshot of your character at level 10 to collect your sub gift at the end of the stream. Thanks for the support. How do you proc the thing? You have to download the game using my link and achieve level 10 on your character account there. Makes you pop up in the corner there. We're just on defense here. Oh, yeah, if you just download, if you didn't use the link, it doesn't count. Otherwise, they have no idea that you came from here. Afternoon, Dungeon Master. Well, they don't have great attacks, and I have Hagra Mauling to kill this triumphant adventurer here. What style of game Dark Nemesis is? It's like a hack and slash RPG game. If you want to take a peek at what the gameplay looks like before you install it, there's a 2-hour segment on my YouTube channel from yesterday. Yeah, it's an action RPG. It's very, very like Diablo-esque. It's like a mobile version of Lost Ark. Oh yeah, Lost Ark's the not boomer version. Yeah, it's very similar to something like Lost Ark, only on your phone. Is that a great comparison? I'm gonna murder this before they attack, which might impact how they attack, but I don't want them to venture. Is Lost Ark good, by the way? Has anybody in chat played that? There's a Twitch bounty board posting for it that's still up that I've been thinking about clicking on at some point, but hadn't actually pulled the trigger on it yet. We've got like 200 hours into it. Maybe I'll poke at that. Yeah, I think it's up on the bounty board through next week. I'm not gonna do it this week, but maybe we'll pick it up and poke at it. Has gender-locked classes? I should attack first. It says menace. Your move, Yugi boy. Were you the one that said you never want to play the second best graveyard deck? Yeah, that's a quote from me. That's definitely true. If you missed the start of this conversation, Andrew, I can get money to play Lost Ark. Was the start of the conversation. Lost Ark's up on the bounty board. Oh, you know what? I should have attacked first. I missed 3 points of damage, shit. Oh, I probably wanted Citystalker Connoisseur and not Graveyard Trespasser, huh? Oh, it is nighttime. That's pretty good. Okay, nice. Good draw. Yeah, our deck's like kind of doing stuff, but none of the stuff we're doing that feels good is the Kami part of the deck, if that makes sense. So our deck doesn't necessarily feel bad per se, but the part of you're the assemble the parts Kami deck, Lou? If so, yeah, this is the tail end. We've been going for about an hour and a half. Yeah, the black dragon has felt legitimately very good. That card's been impressive throughout this set. Yeah, like, even here, right? Like, I can't even take this Kami because Graveyard Trespasser is there, and even if Graveyard Trespasser wasn't there and I take the Kami, I don't have anything lined up to actually trigger it anywhere in the short term, right? Why does black suck all the fun out of Magic just like blue and white and red and green? Hey, don't forget colorless cards, chat. You're just gonna like pretend like Ugin the Spirit Dragon's okay? Yeah, Boshek's on my wavelength. Alright, so I think we blocked both of these. We'll trade here, we'll trade here. For the follow ult, good morning. I'm sitting on this for a turn. Let's wait and see what we draw before we use the blood. Nice. Rewarded for waiting on using the blood. Nice. Mana card that immediately dies to Unholy Heat. Oh, it's funny because it's sad. Glad you're safe. If you're around this afternoon, I'll take a second for Unite, by the way. We'll probably start sometime between 1 and 2 with that. This deck. So, Assemble the Parts actually felt pretty reasonable in a lot of the games that we had played it in. This is a card that's probably worth exploring as an okay value card in some other spots. The one real downside to it is kind of a similar downside to Kami, though, is that there's a lot of incidental graveyard hate in this format between Trespassers and Go Blanks and other miscellaneous things that people aren't really playing graveyard hate explicitly because the graveyard's a contested zone, but you just like happen to have graveyard hate on cards you want to be playing anyways. And I feel like Kami especially probably isn't a card I'm going to play again anytime soon. It felt not only rough to be able to try and sequence this card around the opponent's incidental graveyard hate, but it was also just kind of hard to enable on its own. Like, there were a lot of games where our opponent wasn't even explicitly interacting with our graveyard, where we, like, played this out, and it just, like, didn't do anything other than be a 3-mana 3-2. We had one game specifically where we, like, really popped off and had some silly things going on with, like, Assemble and a bunch of triggers from this and Citystalker and Dragon. That was kind of neat, but that definitely felt like the exception more so the rule. And this card is one I think, in order for it to be playable, it probably needs some power level increases. The text on it is just often irrelevant enough that, like, a 3-mana 3-2 just isn't really a constructed playable card. There might have been a slightly better version of this effect, but that really wasn't the problem, Witcher.